Hey guys, today we're driving a 1992 Acura NSX. I'm here with Fenton from the Zygreen YouTube channel.
What's up, guys?
I'm sure a lot of viewers from TheTopher watch your channel because
we have a lot of cross-pollination.
We do, yeah. You make some amazing comparisons. That's what I love about all your videos is you drive.
I'm just trying to catch up with you, man.
You drive so many cars, though.
I
mean,
do.
I feel like we're both on this journey to find the perfect car.
Absolutely. Hey, you might just be sitting in it.
All right, so yeah, tell me about this NSX because you've spent some time in this already.
So this is not my NSX, but it's modified pretty similarly to mine. 92. It's an NA1 model, early model year. Manual steering.
Awesome.
Very slow ratio. 5-speed manual. The owner, Jimmy, absolute legend. He's got that GT3 as well, but he put in the best mod for an NSX, which is the JDM 5-speed short gear set.
Oh, cool.
It shortens the gear ratios substantially, and he's got the shorter Type R final drive.
Oh wow, nice. Okay.
Yep. And then in terms of weight, it's around 3,000 pounds. 3-liter V6, 270 horsepower, 210 pound-feet, and rear LSD. And the other mod he's done to it, Olin's Rodent, KW V3 coilovers, which is considered the gold standard for this car.
Nice. Okay. So just a kind of a mild build. Very balanced.
Very much OEM plus build.
Awesome. Cool. Manual steering. I mean, you don't need a power rack when there's not a lot of weight over the front end.
Exactly.
And it's just, oh, I love it. Just got to get a little momentum going. Pretty clear.
I recommend you rip it through the tunnel.
Easy to drive. Awesome. Okay, I'm glad we got behind the wheel of this already. Steering feel, that shifter. That's pretty good.
Right? You can just hop in it and drive it so hard.
It's true. Yeah, you just get in and you're there. You're one. See, this is what steering's supposed to feel like. This reminds me of my my NA8 Miata that had a manual rack conversion.
Yeah. Slow ratio, but I mean that's the downside because you have to be able to actually manhandle it.
Sure.
You can't have it be too heavy and too quick.
No, of course. Yeah, you don't want a fast rack with a no power steering rack. I mean, this is kind of how the NSX was intended. And they softened it a little bit, added power steering.
And I'll say that this suspension, while much firmer than stock, it's still very much a street-friendly suspension.
Okay. You just have to prepare yourself. You have to manhandle this a little bit around the corners.
Oh,
yeah. Beautiful. Brakes feel good.
You feel right at home in this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. This is very different from what I was expecting with the sound here. So much grip.
You are hustling, man.
These roads. I just eat them up. Because we don't get this in Michigan, man.
True, true.
This does not exist. We get entrance and exit ramps. This is actually the road we did the Civic Si launch on.
Okay.
That was a pretty awesome car to drive out here. It's a momentum car, but
yeah.
it's so cool to experience this in contrast to an S2000.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah, they're actually more different than most people would think.
Yeah. I love it. This is amazing. So how does this compare to your NSX?
It's similar. I have similar suspension. I have better brakes.
Okay.
I'm an Indy Racing big brake kid. But this 5-speed gear set is the game changer.
Yeah, I bet.
If you have an NA1 NSX, this is the model mods, in my opinion.
So what is stock then? What's factory?
So stock USDM gearing, the second gear will take you to 81 miles an hour.
And what is this about?
This one's probably closer to 70.
Okay. Oh, I miss manual steering. Yeah, for me, this is right up there with the GT3 in terms of involvement.
Yeah, for sure. There you go. I see a smile on his face that I get the pleasure of seeing, but the viewers don't.
Grinning like an idiot. Damn it, these are so expensive now.
I know, I know.
There's another car with manual rack.
Yeah, you're looking at minimum 70 grand. You can find a beat up one for maybe 60, but 70 minimum for a clean one.
Sure. And then with the proper mods, it's so easy to drive. So easy to drive. Pedals are perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all right. It's how it should be. You feel so connected. I wouldn't want it any other way. He's having a good time.
Yeah, he's smiling at us.
Speechless.
Absolutely speechless.
Do a little acceleration here. Awesome. Just awesome. You have to drive this a little bit differently. You really need to torque on that wheel, so you need that. There's Tom in the RX-7. You need that leverage.
Some people actually swap in the power steering rack from an S2000 into this.
Oh, sacrilege.
I know, right?
Limp-wristed.
Not something I would do.
was beautiful. Just beautiful.
Is there anything you don't like about it?
I mean, this is a very raw, unique experience. This is not like a new car at all. The inputs are so perfectly tuned and balanced and suited to the driving experience. Like,
right.
it's just so natural.
Yeah.
Let's turn around. Smelling some brakes, that's okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, stock brakes are puny.
Yeah, it's okay. Good enough for the canyons. Probably need some upgrade for track. Probably not going to chase down Tedward. That's okay.
He's way ahead of us now.
Yeah, he's long gone. So you have had multiple NSXs.
Yeah.
What's your story? What's your history with the car?
I mean, for me, it was always my Halo car. I had an S2000 prior to the NSX, and while that car was a great foray into the world of Honda performance cars for me, I knew someday I had to replace it with an NSX, and I was lucky enough to be able to do that several years ago.
You bought it at the right time too, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I mean, at the time, I actually thought I slightly overpaid for it, but nowadays it's gone up in value to around 50%.
Sure.
Yeah. And just this year, I finally started modding mine. So yeah, I'm doing some some mods on my car. I got a video on my channel about it already, but I do plan to take my car to the racetrack this year to really just put it through its paces, drive it the way it was meant to be driven.
Enjoy it. Yeah, that's great.
And, put some great content out there while having a blast.
Cool. Yeah, you just did suspension, wheels,
exhaust, and a big brake kit, front and rear big brake
Perfect.
kits.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that feels amazing.
Yeah,
we gotta drive your car sometime too.
If you're ever in the Bay Area, just hit me up, man. You can drive. I can set you up with a bunch of tuned S2000s as well.
Cool. This is way better than I thought it would be. This is just, I love the weight to the throttle.
Yeah.
The steering is perfect.
Keep in mind, 33-year-old technology.
Yeah. I mean, when this came out, compared to the Ferraris of the time, oh my gosh, this just must have just driven like a dream.
Yeah. The Ferraris were old and clunky and hard to steer, hard to shift, weird seating position.
This gearbox is amazing, just amazing.
I gotta say, I am thoroughly impressed with your driving skills.
It took me a bit to warm up today. I was kind of rusty this morning. I kind of want to take the GT3 out again, actually, because I didn't feel very good about my driving in that. But thanks.
You're in the zone now. I can tell. Perfect spicy downshift.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is what it's all about. This is why we film these videos, is so we can find the cars that do these things, that give us the dopamine release, right? It's all about that dopamine hit.
Who needs pre-workout when you can just drive an NSX like this for
Absolutely.
15 minutes?
Honda and Porsche, they have figured out how to make a driver's car so connected. I've always said Porsche feels like a tailored suit.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing.
Yeah.
Everything, all the controls, the placement, the ergonomics, the responsiveness of everything, the way the pedals are laid out, the balance and the weight of everything too. I mean, that was a crappy downshift, but it's the way it should be. It's what you imagine in your mind.
Now I gotta ask you, since I just filmed the GT3 versus NSX. In 1 minute, how would you sum up how these two cars compare?
So this is a bit of a smoother, more fluid driving experience. GT3 is a bit more of a manhandling. You know, you gotta grab that car by the scruff of its neck, and you do have to do that with this too. GT3 makes all the right noises. This sounds pretty good, but I feel like I'm getting better feedback with this car, especially with the manual steering and everything. The driving involvement here, I actually would put over the GT3, surprisingly, because
Boom,
the GT3 is that's the king. That's the top dog. Always has been. But I gotta say, that car also just does not disappoint. I think you have to learn to drive the GT3, and when you get that car right, and when you get better at driving it, it's a bit more of a challenge, but it's also very rewarding once you get there. I didn't quite get there today. This, I'm warmed up, I'm ready to go, and it's a much easier car to drive, and I think a little bit more rewarding initially. Yeah. But there's something to be said about the challenge of the GT3 and nailing that driving experience too. Two amazing cars.
I mean, I can say that I drove the NSX first this morning, and then I drove the GT3 2 or 3 cars later, and I still couldn't attack the corners the same way in the GT3, even though I was more warmed up.
Sure, the lightness of the front end, the lack of grip. I mean, you got to warm that car up a little bit, and then it helps. But it's not like this. It's not as confidence inspiring as this NSX is. And of course, the GT3 has good steering, but it's nothing like what you get from a manual rack. You can feel, you know,
every pebble,
the dog hairs that fell out of people's windows on the pavement. You know, it's ridiculous.
I'm so glad you enjoyed this car.
Oh man, I was a little bit unclear because, you know, Tedward came back. He's like, oh man, the steering's really heavy, and my head kept bumping into it. And you almost witnessed a motorcyclist get killed.
Yeah, it's not a tall, people-friendly car.
Yeah, but also he sits a little bit farther forward in the car than I do. So I think with his driving position, he was a little bit ergonomically challenged with the POV setup. Right. But I just tilted my seat back a little bit, and I'm okay. I love this, man. This is horrible because it could be very expensive someday.
I mean, the market is cooling off a bit for these.
That's a good thing. So to sum up, don't go buy an NSX. Wait until I get mine and then go buy yours. Kia Stinger, getting it? I gotta say, the car culture out here in California is unbelievable. Every day is like Forza Horizon in real life.
I know. You have plenty of like the high-rolling like supercar owners, but you also have just as many of the down-to-earth, like build-it-at-home, like, you know, tuners.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. I mean, there's just, it's a rolling car show. I mean, at this point, the NSX is an icon, and for good reason. I wasn't expecting it to be this good.
Really? And keep in mind, this is just a mildly modified one.
Sure.
There's people who go all out, you know, $8,000 suspension, superchargers, twin turbo kits, but when it comes to the NSX, for me, I always like that OEM plus feeling.
Of course.
That's exactly how I'm planning to modify.
I think this is the perfect amount of massaging to a car like this. All the cars we've driven today have been really well built and really well set up. You don't want to take a car too far outside of its original intended purpose. And when you do, you run into reliability issues, you run into drivability problems. Yeah.
It's just...
just great.
Yeah, it's just great. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, I've driven a lot of new stuff to me this year. One real surprise was the Corvette, a C2 Corvette Stingray.
Oh wow, C2.
And it was like this, but from the 60s, and it felt so natural and easy to drive. It had power steering.
I never would have imagined that old of a car.
Small block V8, it felt so good. It was so easy to drive. It was like getting into a Miata or something. And just like this, you could just get into it and go.
Amazing. buy one now, Chris.
I gotta buy one now. The power, I mean, it's not gonna blow anyone's doors off, but it's the perfect amount, and the response from the engine. I mean, this is just a reliable old V6
so
back there.
Reliable,
yeah.
I've got 121K miles on mine. Never skipped a beat.
Are they challenging to work on, being mid-engine?
Less challenging than you might think because they're actually transversely mounted.
Okay.
So for me, it was easy enough for me to do easy things like spark plugs and yeah, just basic stuff like that. Oil change, lift up one corner of the car, oil filter and plug is right there. That's simple.
Wow. What about interior quality, creaks, rattles, switch gear over time?
You get some creaks and rattles, like for example mine, this dome light here is starting to rattle. The moment I press on it, it goes away.
But I mean, this is a beautiful example.
Yeah.
It has 83,000 miles on it.
Yeah. I mean, Jimmy takes
tight as a drum. Yeah. What's that?
That is the original 1990s phone.
Of course.
That was an option for the NSX. I don't know if this car has it. That might be
there it is. Yeah,
there
cool.
it is.
Nice. Beautiful. How does this gearbox compare in feel to the standard higher ratio gears?
I mean, the feeling of the shift is the same, but the gear ratio is really, it's night and day difference.
Sure.
Like if you drove my car, you'd probably say the same things about the steering, the suspension, the engine, but
it would feel slower.
You'll feel slower. You'll always be in second gear on a road like this, and not only in second gear, you won't even be in the VTEC range half the time.
Yeah, where's VTEC again? 6?
5,000.
5, okay.
This car, yeah.
So yeah, red line's at 8. This kind of has a little double bubble here.
So fun fact, if you get the later 95 Plus Targa top, you don't get the bubble, so it's even more unfriendly to tall people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm only 5'10", so I don't usually have any issues.
A couple inches of headroom.
Yeah, I could be in a racing helmet in here and be pretty comfortable. These are stock seats.
Stock seats. If you do need to sit lower, just put in a seat rail, either like a Bride or a PCI rail, and put in a bucket seat. You can get 2 to 3 inches lower.
Nice. Yeah. Let's look at the engine bay.
Yeah.
Turn this off.
And the hatch release is just on this side there.
And is this the stock key?
That's the original key that all NSXs came in. I actually use mine very sparingly because it does scratch easily.
Yeah.
So I use my crappy rubber one instead.
It's just hewn out of
a single piece of metal.
A single piece of metal.
Yeah.
It's got to be steel. It's heavy.
Yeah,
it's good. It's so good.
Engine hatch release is right here.
What type of rim do you have up in the front too?
There is no front, so that's where the spare tire goes.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember. Okay.
But the trunk actually is pretty big.
So this is just a compact spare.
Yeah, he took the spare out. Most people do.
Weight savings.
I mean, 33-year-old spare tire. It's not.
Yeah, it's not going to do much.
Battery, if you notice, is mounted real nice and low to keep the weight down.
Yep. Every little bit counts.
Simple.
What would an example like this set you back these days? 80s?
83K miles, pretty much mint condition. Let's say it was bone stock. I would say...
These were 35 grand not long ago. 30 grand.
About 7 years ago, they were about 35 grand. Now they're about 70, I would say. For example, like this, 75.
Wow.
And the highlight of the show.
What's amazing is that this engine is so in the middle of the car. You still have room for a whole trunk back here.
I'll show you the trunk. It's actually
And that's all down to that transverse mounting.
now, the way to open an NSX trunk is to slide your fingers right in here.
Okay. And just lift. Nice. Yeah, beautiful.
So, yeah, if you look at the side, it's like pretty easy to access the spark plugs.
Yep.
At least the front bank is easy. The rear, you got to do a little bit of contortion, but overall, it's pretty easy to work on.
Some finagling. Cool. Danger. Achtung! I'm surprised to see German in an NSX engine bay.
I never noticed that. Actually.
Yeah. Door handles are cool. This came with 15-inch fronts, 16-inch rears.
That's right. We've got some 17 and 18 now, which really just makes the car look so much more.
It does, yeah. How does it handle in the stock size tires? Little wallowy.
It's
still lively. But it oversteers a little bit more tail happy.
Lift off, oversteer. You just lift off halfway, mid corner, and it'll come right out.
Okay. Thanks.
Anytime.
Thanks,
it's not
man.
even my car.
I know, but thanks for coming along and schooling me on the NSX.
I'm just so glad that we're able to get some more exposure for this car on the channel, because I think it's just one of those cars that until you experience it, it's easy to just like poo-poo on it. It's like, oh, why would I pay 75 grand for a car with 270 horsepower?
Sure.
Right? But it's not until you drive it that you really understand it. And I think, I mean, the smile on your face,
oh man,
tells it all.
Yeah. Cool. We'll end things on that note. Go check out Zygreen's YouTube channel. If you haven't already, you've been doing this for a while. How long have you been filming videos?
On and off for about 7 years, but I haven't taken it seriously until around 2 years ago.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah, I started TheTopher in 2017.
Okay.
Before that, it's just like videos of my bearded dragon and Volvo 850 occasionally. And then I started Winding Road in 2011. So we've been doing this a while.
Yeah,
that's good.
Quite a while.
Yeah.
I got a full-time job, so I can't put the same level of dedication into this, but it's my hobby. I never want it to feel like a job, so I like where I'm at right now.
That's how it's kind of been for me up until since COVID. I've always kind of split it with other things, and that's you make it what you want it to be, and that's great. It's just so cool to be able to experience stuff like this and kind of figure out what that perfect car for you is, because it's a journey, man. And there's nothing out there that's perfect, but you can figure out what flavors you like.
Yeah, you can get a taste of perfection every now and then. These are the moments that make having a car YouTube channel for me worth it.
Of course. And we drive so much stuff. And I've been doing this for so long, I feel a little bit jaded at this point. But getting into something like this really kind of reignites that, oh wow, this is why I do this, and this is what gets me excited about cars.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of which, here comes Charlie from Daily Motor and Chris and the GR Corolla.
Spicy.
Yeah, lots of videos coming out this month on our trip from California here. We'll have to make this a yearly or biannual pilgrimage. I don't know. There's a lot of fun stuff we can do out here.
Every single time you come to California.
Great, and I'll meet you up in the north.
You can drive my cars too.
Yeah, that'd be great. Get some S2000 content also, and yeah, BRZ boys. Unless you get behind a GR Corolla someday, we'll talk more about that. Also, we just did a really great episode of the Zygreen podcast. I'll throw that in the link too once you get that up.
That was a great time.
Tedward, Kevin from Jubal on Cars, Chris from Daily Motor, Chris Brower, Substitute Topher, Charlie, me. We all just had the best conversation.
I mean, I literally met you guys in person for about 5 minutes before we started rolling. But the chemistry was great.
We're like, hey, I'm Chris. Hey, I'm blah, blah, blah. And then, let's go. Yeah, so that was a great episode. Definitely check that out. We talk about GR Corolla versus Civic Type R, and we discuss what we love about YouTube and what our channels are, and kind of future ideas and things too. It is a great conversation. All right, that's the end of the video, I promise. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
All right.